Hello YouTube, my name is Henry and this is Lock Valley Farms. Alrighty, now in my last video I did say as we get toward the end of August I'd go around and do another crop scout, or would go for another look at the crops, see how things are travelling along, because well, September is a bit of a do or die month for us a lot of the time. The days get longer, the days get hotter, the crops are big so they're thirsty, and that's really the month that we need to get rain in. So that moment has actually just arrived, or just about arrived. We're very close to heading into September now, so I thought, what better time, let me spit that out, what better time to go and have a look than now. We had a glorious little half-inch of rain yesterday, about 12 mil. So things are a little bit sticky out here, to be honest, so we'll see how we go. But anyway, we'll go have a look, show you guys how things are progressing, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right, well, I figure we might as well start off with the first planted, and that was these faba beans. Slow, they're slow. They were slow to get going. They are starting to tiller out now, which is nice. Starting to bush up a little bit, but they looked very, very funny this morning because we got whacked with an absolute belt of frost last night. And we are going to get 4 nights in a row of frost, so I'm a little bit concerned about how things are going to be faring after that. It's still early enough in the season that it shouldn't damage things too much, but yeah, here's the beans. I haven't got massive acres of these in this year, but they're looking good. They're coming along well. They were slow to get going because of the dry start, but overall, can't complain. Definitely going to need a couple of rains on these to get them through, but we'll deal with that as we go. The other thing, in the last video, Dad was out grass freeing the vetch. He also grass freed the beans, so volunteer barley, ryegrass, anything that's growing out here has been hit with a selective herbicide now, and you can see it going all yellow, starting to die off, so clean the paddock up for the wheat next year. And actually, before I get out of this paddock of beans, one thing that irritates me the most about faba beans is this. You've got a bean that's grown like that, like look at the size of that, and then you come over here, and then what's this guy been doing? Did he just decide like last minute, he thought, you know what, there's been some rain, I might actually grow. I don't really know why. We had the same trouble last year. You just get odd ones that just pop up really, really late, but overall these just got seeded quite well this year and they're looking pretty good, so can't complain, just need some more rain. Alrighty, next on the list is the wheat, some of the wheat, alright? About a third of our wheat looks like this here. This was dry sown, completely dry sown. It's looking really, really nice at the moment. This is well and truly advanced. I am absolutely shocked at how fast this wheat has grown this year, because we're normally in a very cold, frosty area, and this wheat has just grown really, really quick because we just haven't had any frost this year. These frosts that we're going to get this week are really the first frosts that we've had on these crops, like a substantial amount of frost at all. So yeah, this stuff's looking nice. You can see some of those leaves now starting to get right up towards my knee. This paddock had beans on it last year. These beans have been sprayed out now as well. All the broadleafs have been sprayed out. You can see them down here starting to wilt. The beans starting to curl over and die, all the volunteer beans there. So this has had the broadleaf sprayed out and a fungicide on it, and that's it. We'll shut up the gate here till harvest unless we have a super, super wet spring and for some reason we need to come back with another fungicide or something like that. But yep, about a third of the wheat looks like this here at the moment. We'll have a look at the rest of it in a minute. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to work my way from the most advanced to the least advanced. We'll go from the good to the ugliest. Alright, so the next thing's going to be the barley. Alright, we're here in the barley. Let's have a look. Alrighty, 3/4 of this barley was planted all within a couple of days of one another. So it's all around this maturity at the moment. We're going to get to a couple of paddocks at the end that is the ugly, but this stuff here is looking pretty nice. It's looking quite decent. Can't complain with this. Dry sown. There is a couple of patches of ryegrass in a few of these paddocks, particularly over on the other side of this paddock. Very prone to ryegrass over there, acidic ground. Here we have a bit of ryegrass, the good old ryegrass, absolute arch nemesis. This stuff, so there's no way of getting that out of these crops, out of these grass crops, because it's a grass. There's no way. It's not like a broadleaf that you can spray out. So anyway, overall we're pretty happy with the barley. We're expecting this to go fairly well. I think, you know, if we got even one more rain on this barley, if we got an inch of rain in mid-September or something like that, this would probably go above average. So it's looking good. Can't complain at all. Now the other thing I thought I'd bring up quickly while I'm in here, there is a lot of wheat growing in this barley this year. Alright, this is wheat right here. Reason being, we did not get an early rain to germinate any of the volunteer wheat from last year, so there's a lot of that growing. Second reason being, if you went back and watched my harvest videos, we had a severe wind event which caused significant enough damage to our wheat crops last year, where it actually thrashed out some of the wheat straight out of the heads in the paddock just from the wind. So that was nice. As a result, this barley will not go malting barley this year. It has no chance. Malting barley is what would be used for beer. This will just be feed barley. And frankly, we don't really care, because in recent times there's no benefit in growing malting barley in Australia. Nobody wants it. Feed barley is just as much value. So, yep. All right, on to the next. Alrighty, well, this here is the middle of the road wheat. Planted a little bit later than the other stuff we looked at first. Look, overall, it's looking alright. It's a long way behind. It's gonna need a fair bit of rain on it to finish it off. So we have any sort of a dry September or whatever, this stuff's gonna struggle. It's just not going to thicken out. It's just not going to be the same sort of crop. So we can just hope for favourable conditions, not too much warm weather. The later stuff gets sown, the further behind it is. It just struggles. It's too cold, too wet. During winter here, it's always good to get the crops in early. And now I don't have to go far for the last third of the wheat. This stuff was sown very late. We were waiting on weeds, ryegrass in particular. This is the wheat that went in, it must have been probably around the 15th of June, I reckon. Now this stuff is not very high at all. There's a ryegrass, lovely. A couple of ryegrasses. Gosh, I hate that stuff. But yeah, this stuff ain't too high. It's barely higher than my boot, so she's got a lot of growing to do, a lot. But nothing you can do about that. That's just the way the year panned out. So this is the ugliest. This is the ugliest of the wheat. This stuff is going to need a lot of rain to get it through. Still looks decent enough though. We got a good stand. It germinated pretty well. There's plenty of moisture. So there's potential here. Absolutely no doubt about it. We're optimistic. Farmers are generally like to be fairly optimistic, I think. They're talking a wet spring for whatever that's worth, these weather forecasters. They often talk things up, and who knows, we'll see. Alrighty, that's the beans, the early wheat. the middle of the road wheat and the late sown wheat. We've done 3/4 of the barley. Now to the ugly, the very late sown barley. 23rd of June it was sown. We'll go have a look at it. It's not pretty, let's be honest. Don't you love seeing these masks all over my dash? We haven't had a case of the beer flu in this state for a month or more, I reckon, but yet they're persisting with that. That just ain't right. That just ain't right. Righty-o, we are at the ugly. Let's have a look. Alrighty, this is the late sown barley. This has amounted to absolutely nothing so far. It's only just barely finished getting up and starting to get some leaves on it. The biggest problem with this stuff here is it just went in late and it got so cold and so wet during July. It just really sat there struggling away for a long time. Looks a little bit better over there where I've sort of double sown it on the turn, but yeah, she ain't much chop at the moment. This is going to need a serious amount of rain on it. The other thing that this thing desperately needed was some nitrogen. It needed some urea on it. Now I came out and spread some on it. They stuffed up to not one, 2 forecasts in a row. We were supposed to get up to about, would have been 15 to 20 mil if they were on the upper end of those rains, but they managed to completely butcher those 2 forecasts, and I think we ended up with about 3 mil total. So I spread fertiliser out here. It just sat on the top of the ground here, got a couple of mil of rain on it. There was just this crusty urea sitting there. So how good that urea was when we finally got this last rain, I don't know. Anyone's guess is as good as mine. So yeah, don't know. Don't know what's going to happen here. Bit disappointing, to be honest, considering how good the early crops look, but that just highlights the importance of seeding date. You know, when you get a late start like we've had, yeah, it just really slows things down, and it sort of limits your chances of having a good year in many ways, because we can definitely get dry in spring, there's no question about that. We're just hoping this year that we might get away with a bit of a wetter one. We're due for a couple of wet ones. We've not had a good run before last year. We had 3 very dry springs in a row. So, right, out of here. Alright, so now, what else has been happening over the last month or so, Henry? Well, yes, there has been something else happening. There has been something quietly growing on these hills around me here. And for that, I'm going to take the drone up. And I just thought I'd say quickly, I used the drone for the first time in the last video. I got this drone off a little business called Fly the Farm. They specialise in agricultural drones. You can check them out on Facebook or whatever. I might put a link for them in the description as well, but very, very easy to deal with. Just thought I'd give them a quick plug. I get absolutely nothing from it. They're just really easy to deal with, a nice small business. So if you're looking for a drone, hit those guys up. Alright, let's go have a look what else has been happening. Alrighty guys, as we get up into the air here, you'll probably see something running around on the tops of the hills, and that is our sheep, and closely following the sheep are lambs. So that is right. Our ewes are lambing at the moment, or finished lambing basically, and the old man will probably be annoyed at me for spooking those sheep with the drone. So if you're watching, Dad, sorry about that. Now, we probably have around 3,000 lambs on the ground at the moment, so that is a lot of lambs. Thought we'd go for a bit of a fly over the top here, and to finish off here shortly, just going to go for a fly off the edge of the top of one of our hills with a great view back over our property. Literally one of my favourite views, or probably my favourite view on the whole farm. So that will be the end of the video then, guys. Just want to say thank you very much for watching the video. We sure do appreciate it, and we sure would love to see you back next time. Have a good one. Alright, now to attend to some more important matters. Dad duties.